You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Friday, July 3rd, the official observance of Independence Day, which is actually tomorrow. And so it's a federal holiday and a lot of stuff is closed and people are out, celebrating early and having fun. We're hearing fireworks go off in the distance. And we have a lot to talk about today. So let's get right on into it. Of course, this being Friday, the format we follow is I'm going to do news for about half an hour, then open the phone lines. Then at 4 o'clock, the lovely Lady Claire will be joining us. She'll do her talking points for about half an hour. We'll open the phone lines again. So let's get right on into it. We finally have some news to report on that is not COVID-19 and not Black Lives Matter. And that is, of course, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's been arrested. And here's where it's really starting to get a little weird out there. She may be sent to the same jail where Jeffrey Epstein supposedly killed himself. And that's got to be making her feel very, very nervous right now. I think the Las Vegas odds makers are out there saying, what are the odds that she's going to survive to talk? Because she says she's going to talk. She's going to name names. And so there's some very, very powerful men are scared about what she could possibly say. So Jeffrey Epstein's victims have one more shot at justice, and they're hoping that it's going to work because Ghislaine is their last chance to start dragging some of these abusers into court. And this article, which came out of the New York Post, had an interesting question in there. Will the federal government keep Maxwell alive to stand trial? So even the corporate media is acknowledging the possibility that she could get whacked to keep her silent. And it's almost like they wouldn't even have to bother trying to make it look like a suicide or a murder hornet or a rattlesnake or something like that, because everybody's going to know that, she got taken out to silence her. Now, Prince Andrew supposedly is bewildered over the lack of response from U.S. justice officials. He and the royal family are braced for new revelations coming from Ghislaine Maxwell, but so far, they're not hearing anything. Now, there were a couple of times when Prince Andrew said he was willing to help the U.S. investigation out, and he's being ignored. Now, apparently, Ghislaine Maxwell was hiding out in this $1 million New Hampshire estate. She bought it in secret just 8 months ago. It was called Tucked Away, and it was in, Bradford, New Hampshire. Yesterday I said it was Bedford because that's what I saw in one of the articles, but it's in Bradford, New Hampshire, which is northwest of Manchester, and it's a very posh area. It's someplace you definitely go when you don't want to have people knocking on your door. But apparently she was living the life of luxury. The house is a quarter mile up a steep dirt road. Brand new locked metal gates prevent cars from being driven up to the complex where there's 2 buildings. The second one specifically designed for square dances and hoedowns. There we are. Now, one of the victim's attorneys, Lisa Bloom, is saying Ghislaine could reveal bigger names involved in the Epstein pedo network as part of a plea deal. They're already talking about a plea deal in exchange for some bigger names. That's been complicated by the fact that a new victim has come forward, which they're calling Jane Roe, claiming that Ghislaine Maxwell abused her and calling it rape. Now, that's not on the current list of charges, so it may be added, and that would certainly give the prosecutors a much bigger lever with which to pry names out of Ghislaine Maxwell. But I would say right now, if she's put in that same prison where Epstein committed suicide, they're going to say, oh, it was terrible. We didn't learn our lesson with Jeff Epstein. Guards will go off to a conveniently timed break. So anyway, Appearing on UK radio show LBC, Bloom stated, "I'm sure that Ghislaine's attorneys will try to make a deal where she speaks out about a bigger name to get reduced charges for herself." Well, one of the names we already know is out there, of course, is Bill Clinton. Who's bigger than that? Who are they still protecting out there? Now, this next story is a little bit weird, and I'll explain why. Apparently, Virginia Giuffre, one of the victims, she's the one who said that she had sex with Prince Andrew when she was underage. And the judge in the case, Loretta Preska, ruled Wednesday that her lawyers came into possession of copies of Epstein's files improperly. Okay. And basically said they must be destroyed. Now, these are copies of Jeffrey Epstein's files that contain names. Now, the judge has the authority to say they're inadmissible in court because they were obtained improperly. But this judge said, no, that's not enough. All these files have to be destroyed. So the cover-up is already starting. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, and I hope you're all going to have a safe holiday weekend here. Apparently, Black Lives Matter and Crips gang members are stocking up some 300 pounds of fireworks that simulate gunfire. And we've been hearing warnings that when the fireworks are going off, that there's going to be a lot of hits. By the way, do not use hand sanitizers if you're setting off fireworks. Those hand sanitizers are primarily alcohol, which is flammable. And you can set yourself on fire if you're not being careful. All right. Let's see. Rapper Lord Jamar is saying Black Lives Matter is not our movement. It was given to us by George Soros. Well, not anymore, because Black Lives Matter has been removed from George Soros' list of projects. Boy, how fast they have fallen after they became critical of Israel. Now, apparently, the National Football League is going to play the so-called Black National Anthem, which is the song Lift Every Voice and Sing. They're going to play it before the games for the first game of every season. Now, there's unity for you, having two completely different national anthems. And they're going to be singing it ahead of the Star-Spangled Banner. Statue of Confederate Naval Officer Matthew Fontaine Maury, who invented the explosive mine, is going to be removed from Richmond's Confederacy Row. A lot of people forget the Confederacy came up with some really good ideas, including the first combat submarine, the CSS Hunley. They're still restoring after they recovered that. It's pretty amazing stuff there. Anyway, a crane pulled a statue of Naval Officer Matthew Fontaine Maury from its base. The statue, unveiled in 1929, depicts Maury seated in a chair. Maury headed the Coast Harbor and River defenses for the Confederate Navy. Two cannons were also removed from the Monument Avenue on Thursday. Comes a day after the statue of General Stonewall Jackson was removed. They've taken a giant eraser to the country and just erasing history. They only want the approved history. Reminds me of one of the Harry Potter movies when the lady in the pink is out there saying, no, you're not allowed to learn magic. You will follow the approved course. And picture that lady out there with the statues and a sledgehammer. Richard Albert, who's a professor of law and government at the University of Texas in Austin, has denounced the United States Constitution in an op-ed for The Hill published Tuesday, saying that its gendered and racist words stand in the way of true reconciliation in this divided country and have no place in any modern society. Well, that depends on the modern society. Now, I will be the first to admit that having been written in an age before word processors, there are occasional grammatical and spelling errors in both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. But its gendered language rests on the fact that back in those times, any reference to man was inclusive of woman. Mankind meant all humans. We were all mankind. It wasn't gendered out that way. As far as the racist words are concerned, again, unfortunately, at the time these documents were written, there was a degree of racism that was accepted as part of society. that there were certain people who were better than other people. Speaking of Harry Potter, two of the biggest Harry Potter fan sites have now removed photos of J.K. Rowling and links to her personal website because of her, quote, harmful and disproven beliefs. Now, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the belief that there are just two genders is not disproven. Go down to the DNA, take a look. There's the X chromosome or the Y chromosome. There's not the XI or the XY or the XY chromosome. It's one or the other. It's hardly disproven. But apparently the websites, the Leaky Cauldron and MuggleNet, say they were no longer going to provide links. I made a point of sending in an email through JK's website saying, you know, you're right, and a lot of people are standing behind you on this thing. So we'll see what happens there. But it's really ridiculous. It really, and it's gone way, way, way too far. And I think we're dealing with a situation where the powers that think they are trying to get us so confused that we can't think straight about what's going on around us, especially with the government. They want us so confused we don't even know what bathroom we're supposed to be using. Turning to the international news here, there's been an explosion at one of Iran's most important nuclear facilities, Natanz, that took place yesterday, damaging the power plant but leaving the reactor intact. Now, the cause of the explosion has not been officially confirmed, but reports are coming out saying that there was an explosive device planted inside the facility. According to the official site, the blast destroyed much of the above-ground parts of the facility where cutting-edge centrifuges had been placed before being put into operation. Well, gee whiz, who would want to take out the centrifuges? The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations claimed Russia's position on the Syria cross-border aid program will lead to mass graves. So there's a UN resolution was adopted last January that envisioned a reduction of border crossings under a program of cross-border humanitarian aid to Syria from 4 to just 2, as the Assad government regained control over the country's territory and made possible aid delivery from inside Syria. The U.S. ambassador to the United States, Kelly Craft, asserted that a failure to extend a cross-border aid program in Syria will result in mass graves in the country, and claimed that the lack of border crossings would restrict access to Syrians in need of humanitarian supplies amid the coronavirus pandemic. Well, I think what's really going on there is as those cross-border, the crossings get closed, it's less access for the United States, less officially recognized permitted access. So, in this era of fake news, can we trust the corporate media polls that show Trump badly trailing Biden in the race for the U.S. presidency? And today, even on Fox News, I heard one poll says Biden is 12 points ahead, and another one said he's 20 points ahead. I said, are you kidding me? You know, but think back to 2016, when we were told every single day the polls had Hillary Clinton in a landslide win for the White House. Day after day after day, it's Hillary, she's 90 points. There's no way she's not going to win. And then she didn't win. But we're being lied to again to shove yet another Democrat at us. And a Democrat who is so decrepit, they won't let him out of the basement. They're terrified of what he does when he gets in front of a microphone. I mean, in that press conference he did earlier this week, he was obviously well rehearsed, well prepared, and he came across looking moderately decent. But every time he's out there extemporaneously, he says things, and his handlers are just freaking out trying to keep it all under control here. So I, for one, don't believe any of these claims that polls show that Biden's ahead of Trump. And somebody had an analysis where they said part of the issue has to do with the excitement of the voters. Okay, because Trump voters, they're energized, they're excited, you know, they're emotionally caught up, and that means they will get out and vote. But the supporters for Biden, they just seem lackadaisical. And that means that when it comes right down to it, they may just decide, oh, I don't want to stand in line at the poll today. Somebody else will vote for Biden. And that could shift things tremendously. And again, remember how dramatically things shifted in 2016. Now, this is a little bit of good news here. According to Axios on Wednesday, 3 sources with direct knowledge of Trump's thinking said that Trump has come to the conclusion that listening to Jared Kushner frequently in the past has hurt him politically. Yes, it has. So it sounds like the president will now rely more on his own gut. I think that's a good thing. Jared Kushner's only qualification to be where he is he's the president's son-in-law. That's it. So let's talk about COVID-19. In a major reversal, Texas governor makes mask wearing mandatory. Texas Governor Abbott just did a major reversal, issued an executive order mandating that masks be worn in public in all counties across Texas with more than 20 confirmed cases of COVID-19. And by the way, COVID-19 has finally come to Santa Claus. According to the tests, there are 5 cases within our town limits. So we're going to go back to wearing our masks. Okay, Dustin? Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti now admits protests in the city did lead to a spike in coronavirus cases after he previously insisted there was no link. All right, talking about the economic news, Trump booms as payrolls soar by a record 4.8 million, crushing all expectations. And the job numbers are way up. The Democrats are trying to say, well, they're not really good jobs. And well, a job is a job is a job. And as part of this new stimulus bailout package Trump is talking about, the extended unemployment benefits are going to get canceled because they're incentivizing people to stay home and not find jobs because the unemployment benefits pay more. And I'm in agreement with that there. Anyway, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in keeping with the huge band of possibilities, the U.S. economy added a whopping record 4.767 million jobs, crushing the expectations of 3 million and indicating that the V-shaped recovery, if only in the Bureau of Labor Statistics servers, is well on track. And I've seen a lot of people on both sides of that debate. Is the V recovery really going to work or is it not? A lot of people saying, no, it's going to be a very long time before we're back to normal. Then we have stories like this, which are saying, yeah, in point of fact, the V recovery is on track. That would be very important for Donald Trump going into November. And, you know, we're only talking a little over 100 days until the election. So, all right, there's been a surge in new CMBS delinquencies, and it may signal a commercial real estate disaster. Now, I don't know about where you live, but places around here, we drive around, and commercial real estate is empty, especially retail spaces. So 2 months ago, we thought that the unprecedented implosion in U.S. commercial real estate following the near uniform economic shutdown following the coronavirus pandemic, manifesting in the surge of newly delinquent CMBS loans, would be one for the ages, even though we predicted May would likely be worse. And indeed, while April was ugly, May was worse. First, the good news. As Trepp writes in the latest monthly CMBS remittance report, at one point in June, it appeared that a new all-time high for CMBS delinquencies would be reached. However, when the final numbers came about, the 2012 high of 10.34%, a fraction higher, remains the peak for the time being. Simple translation, it's bad, but it's not that bad. That's what they're trying to say here. All righty, everybody's still focused on the price of oil. Will it get back up to $100 a barrel? And a lot of energy experts are saying no. The demand isn't there while people are staying home in lockdown. And you know, we're into the summer months where there's supposed to be a peak in demand for people who are driving on their vacations. That's not happening. So there's a story that came out of Zero Hedge on how $40 oil isn't going to be enough to prevent a wave of shale bankruptcies. The coronavirus pandemic and the oil price collapse are accelerating the pace of bankruptcy filings in the U.S. shale patch this year. The number of filings has already started to trend up in 2019 after a drop in prices in the fourth quarter of 2018. This year, the U.S. energy industry is setting some grim records. We got to take a break for commercials, and we will be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
As a listener of RBN, you're surely concerned about being informed and being ready for whatever may come. Please consider the following questionnaire as a soul-jarring wake-up call. If you answer no to more than 2 of these following questions, you probably aren't going to make it through any major disruption in our country. The questions were compiled by people that have been there. Are you really ready? Do you own your own firearm for the primary defense and protection of you and your loved ones? Have you ever been professionally trained to stand against life-threatening behavior? Have you ever practiced enough to fire 500 rounds during a 2 to 4 day time frame, day and night? Can you load, unload, fire, and clear a jam in total darkness? Have all the adults in your household been professionally trained? Are you, life and death, comfortable with your abilities with pistol, revolver, shotgun, and rifle? Are you aware that everything that you do to prepare for an emergency is a waste of time, money, and energy? If you haven't honed your abilities to their highest level to protect and keep what you have, do you have the repair parts that will most likely be needed for each of your firearm, and do you have the ability to install those parts? Could you completely clean every firearm you own? Are you aware that your body won't go where your mind hasn't been? In other words, without proper training, followed by regular practice, you probably will not win a gunfight. Well, how did you measure up? Take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to start correcting your deficiencies by receiving your Commander Lifetime Membership with Front Sight Firearms Training Facility. A one-time donation to RBN for $500 will give you a Commander Lifetime Membership at Front Sight as a tremendously huge thank you bonus. See details on RBN's webpage to make it happen. The clock is ticking. You had better be ready before it happens.
We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our.
Okay, now the Boeing Aircraft Company and the Federal Aviation Administration have completed certification flight tests on the 737 MAX, saying that all the problems that led to those 2 fatal crashes have been fixed. But apparently, the public attitude is they don't want to get into these airplanes, and they don't trust the FAA, which allowed this thing to happen in the first place. So the truth is, the trust is broken with Boeing and to a certain extent, the FAA. And while Boeing is set to fix the stabilizing MCAS software that doomed 2 flights, it also needs to properly train pilots and go beyond merely an absurd iPad course. Remember the DC-10? One crash, nobody wanted to get on it ever again. We were talking earlier about how in Great Britain, they have ruled that Venezuela's gold should be under the control of Juan Guaido and not the elected Nicolas Maduro. It's a bizarre view. And basically, it's saying Great Britain unequivocally recognizes self-proclaimed leader Guaido as president. Now, he's never run in an election for president. He certainly didn't win. He's not even the leader of the opposition anymore. And I think what's going on here, besides another finger in Maduro's eye, and he wants the goal to fight the coronavirus, So in a long roundabout way, this is biological warfare. It's also outright theft. I think Great Britain just doesn't have the gold. I really don't. But the Britain denying Maduro access to Venezuela's gold is not only theft, it is murder of London's reputation as a trusted financial center. There are going to be other people around the world saying, we've got our gold stuck in the Bank of England. We should get it back immediately. And they're going to get the long stall when they try and do that. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now and take a call from Sebastian in Sweden. Hello, Sebastian. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yes, hello, Mike. I just wanted to tell everyone out there in the States that there's a group of football fans from a special football team in Stockholm that are protecting a statue in Stockholm today.
Well, that's good.
They're called the Firma. They're called the Firma boards, and there's about 50 of them, and they surrounded the statue, and they're sitting on it, to protect it from Antifa and BLM. So at least there's something happening here in Sweden that I think is positive, actually, than everything. Everything we heard from the States anyway, like you were talking about earlier, Monument Avenue, and I used to walk up that avenue with my girlfriend back in the 60s, and I think it's unfortunate that they're taking away the statues down, but it was a decision in the council, as far as I can find out on the internet, that they decided in the city council to take them away. And okay, that's okay as far as I'm concerned. That should have been the same thing in all the cities in America, that they should have went to the city council and decided on that. That's democracy. Otherwise, it's just anarchy.
Yes. Well, that's what we have right now, is anarchy.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, I hope it becomes something else, other than that, I hope nothing happens on the 4th of July weekend. Right?
Yeah.
Like in Sweden, the biggest weekend, it was last weekend was the 2 weekends ago was the Midsummer, festival here in Sweden, and a lot of corona viruses, extended that weekend because of the students that got out of the college here in Sweden. They, went to parties and they, got a lot of virus here. So, that's why there's a rise in viruses here in Sweden. But other than that, it's, we'll see what happens, in the end.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking, I wish everyone, nice 4th of July in America. I wish I could be there. It's been a long time. I left in 68, from America, so I don't, know that much was happening, but I wouldn't recognize it if I went back today. I'm sure I would.
Probably not.
And I wish everyone, you and Lady Claire and Peter in Los Angeles, which I like a lot, and Dustin and Tom and Joe. I haven't heard him in a long time. The New Yorker that moved to Tennessee.
Yes.
He hasn't called in a long time. What happened to him?
Okay, now you don't mean Joe in Barbados, do you?
No, I mean Joe, and from the guy from the move from New York to Tennessee, and he was
you're right. He hasn't called in for a while.
Yeah, I haven't heard him in a long time. I like to hear him. I liked his comments and Mark's, and I like them all. And I don't, I don't like the bickering, but I like the people. Take care of yourself, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We got to take another break for commercials. The phone lines are loading up, and we will be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
This is too good to be true, except this time it is real. 100%. No joke. How about a $25,000 membership to Front Sight Firearms Training Facility as a thank you bonus for a one-time donation to RBN of only $500? It is a Commander lifetime membership with no yearly fees or dues. The training is free for the rest of your life with over 50 different classes. Then leave it to your designated beneficiary. You provide the approved firearm, holster, ammo, eye, and ear protection. Many features and bonuses are included, more than you would ever expect or believe. This is the ultimate graduation present, wedding gift, etc., etc. See the details. Go to RBN's webpage and frontsight.com to make it happen. You will hear this offer only on this radio network. Help keep RBN alive. Tell 5.
Is the Second Amendment your line in the sand? Is the United States Constitution important to you? Are you worried about gun confiscation? You need to join us for free at gunconfiscation.com. At gunconfiscation.com, you will meet like-minded patriots, get the latest Second Amendment news, and find anything you need to prepare for gun confiscation. Visit gunconfiscation.com today. That's gunconfiscation.com. Which side are you on?
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phone here to Jim in Illinois. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael. You were talking about the upcoming election, and you stated, and I have to agree with you, that those numbers as far as the polling, I think they're off. One thing people have to remember, it's not a popularity contest. It's the Electoral College. And one thing that I saw yesterday in the paper where Joe Biden, who is originally from Pennsylvania, he's only up by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And when you look at the major states that either Trump or Biden have to win, I'm not quite sure if Biden's going to, be the next president, even though I would love to see someone replace Trump. But I'm not quite sure it's going to be Biden because, number one, his biggest mistake, he stated it has to be a woman to be vice president. And plus, I don't see that many Democrats, and I live in Chicago, they're not all that happy about Biden.
No.
And the young people,
I think it's just a repeat of 2016. The media is on the side of the liberals, and they're going to be pushing the liberal candidate.
Well, I would agree with that. And as far as the young people, they don't seem to be all that enthused right now. I think they're more concerned about either they're concerned about their health or having a good time. And I think a lot of young people, they're concerned about their future because they don't know if they're going to be going back to school come September. The election is secondary to a lot of people.
You're absolutely right at this time. I mean, going into 2016, Hillary Clinton did have a great amount of enthusiasm behind her. Biden doesn't.
Right. Granted, Trump, his problem was not only his son-in-law, but himself. I mean, he's basically, I don't know what the guy is thinking, but he's made some major mistakes. But again, I don't know if he's going to lose again in November. I shouldn't say lose again. I don't know if he's going to, lose in November and Biden jump in. That would be nice to have someone else in there besides Trump. But I don't know if Biden has the energy. I really don't.
Well, I'm still concerned that there's going to be a last-ditch effort to replace Biden at the convention, and that Hillary's going to try and step on in. And I'll take Trump over Hillary any day.
Well, I would agree with that. But as far as Biden, who knows? And again, I'm concerned about his mentality. The guy is not there completely.
No.
No. Well, Michael, I know you have other callers. You take care. Have a nice holiday. Take care.
All right. Same to you. Happy Independence Day. We're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, good day to you, Michael. And happy Independence Day to you and Sebastian in Sweden and Miles in Maine and all the other guys that call in. Happy Independence Day to all you guys. And for you, Sebastian, I'm going to light off a couple of rockets, and I'm going to, in your honor, for the land of the Vikings, the Nordic countries, I'm going to light up a couple of rockets for you, and maybe a couple of Roman candles. Who knows? But listen here, Mike. Here's what I want to get to. Let's get to the real point about a lot of things that's going on. Number one, this Matt Sludge he's a terrorist, media terrorist. This guy's gone full blown nuts, and he's saying that tomorrow all these rioters are going to go in and start trying to tear up the White House. They're going to try to get a big riot going on to attack the White House. I love to see that with the real bullets flying or the rubber bullets and hit him right in the head with the rubber bullets. That's what we need to see happen. As far as Sludge, he is a full-blown media terrorist. He's probably working with George Soros and all these other shrills in the media, all the bunch of communist Bolsheviks. Now, as far as the NFL, Michael, you're talking about, the NFL is going to be folded. They already said that if Kaepernick comes back, they're going to lose 40%. On NASCAR, Michael, because since they took the rebel flag down, they already said next 5 years that NASCAR could probably lose potentially 60% of its viewership. 60%. I'm going to repeat that. 60. NASCAR's finished. What they did to the NASCAR family, and because they call them a bunch of racists, well, they're moonshiners invented NASCAR. Okay.
Yes.
Like I told you yesterday, not yesterday, a couple days back, the South never lost the war, and you even said it on your show. The South didn't lose the war. They actually won the Civil War, other than Washington, D.C. and Lincoln. Lincoln got assassinated. The South went back. The men of the South went back, and they had built their monuments in whatever their cities. They built Montgomery. They built all those cities in the South. Who's kidding who?
Tom. Okay, if you remember that the Civil War was not really about slavery, but about the growing encroachments of the central federal government, which was never in the Constitution, I might add. And then you look at the amendments to the Constitution passed immediately following the war. I think it's pretty obvious Washington, D.C. won that one.
Well, Michael, the Union Army did win the war because, you mentioned, like I told you, Stonewall Jackson got killed by his own men. It was a divine intervention because Jackson would have beat Grant on the battlefield. I'm almost convinced of that. I read the strategies of the Civil War. Stonewall Jackson was almost impossible to beat. Even Sherman knew that. Tecumseh William Tecumseh Sherman knew that he didn't want to go up against Jackson on the battlefield. He was, that was the tide of the war right there was when Jackson got assassinated or shot by his own man. But look, Michael, I didn't really call about that. What I want to talk about is let's get back to the NFL was going to fold up. I believe. They're talking about they're going to have a black national anthem. Are you kidding me?
No.
Do you think after a year or two, the NFL is going to survive? I don't think so. I don't, Michael. I don't believe the NFL is going to survive with another national. They're going to try to put a black national anthem. I never heard of this. And they want to make, they want to put June 19th a holiday so they can get rid of the 4th of July. What's going on here? This is absurd. Look, they're only 13% of the population, but they're going to be dictating our holidays to the other 65% of the population. And by the way, Michael, you know what? One thing you haven't been talking about, this is the real thing I called your show about, and I'll let other callers after this. Did you hear about the young lady that was murdered in Fort Hood, the Mexican-American lady?
Yes.
Her name was Vanessa something. Well, she was murdered by a black man soldier. And if it would have been a white soldier, it would have been on every major network, MSNBC, MSC, ABC, CBS. They would have all been ragging on this white guy kills Mexican soldier. But since it was a black guy named David Robinson who murdered that woman, hacked her body up, okay, raped her with a lesbian standing by. I read the whole story today. It freaked me out. And guess what? Nothing's being said. All you hear is crickets. Crickets, crickets, crickets. The only thing talks about it is One American News. And even Fox News won't even show this guy's picture. If it would have been a white guy, a white soldier who murdered that Mexican-American soldier, it would have been plastered for the next 6 months. And another thing, they're not talking about Jesse Smollett. They keep saying that this Pink Floyd was the greatest guy in the world. The guy had fentanyl that killed 2,000 men in that bag. The media shut up about it. Even though Fox News don't want to talk about the fentanyl that Floyd had in his possession when those officers arrested him. Chauvin was white. The other one was a Chinese guy, and the other one's half black. So we don't hear about these others. A white guy. It's a white guy. We don't hear about all the murders that Afro-Americans can perpetrate on white women in this country. It's astronomical, Michael. You should get the FBI statistics and read up on your show.
Okay.
How many blacks are killing whites? It's terrible. But you know what? All we hear is about how Floyd was this and Floyd was that. Michael, what happened in Seattle when Sean Hannity the other night had that black gentleman on there? What his son, I guess it was his nephew or something, talking about his son got murdered by another black. All these blacks are shooting blacks, even in the protests. Not even counting Chicago every weekend. Another 18 were murdered over this last weekend. But all we hear is how bad Whitey is and the cops. If it weren't for the cops, we wouldn't have a country. It's like at the Border Patrol. We got 40 million illegals in this country, Michael. And nobody's been arrested. They should all be in handcuffs and in jail doing hard labor for allowing the destruction of California. My brother couldn't even find a job out there laying block because he used to make $28 an hour back in 1984. They don't pay them $12 an hour nowadays. So this whole thing is a ploy by the leftist communists trying to take down this country with our monuments, our cultural identity. They want to take the Bible out of church. I mean, it's absurd, and we've got to stop it. It's got to be stopped at all costs. Trump should, and you're right, Kushner, that schmuck, he needs to go back to his little place where he lives and leave Trump alone and let Trump do his job. Trump's been doing a fantastic job, but everybody in there is putting him down left and right. Oh, Trump did. Trump's done more for this country than any president in the history of this country, other maybe than George Washington, when it came to helping everybody financially. And I got proof of that. Now, getting back about a lot of your callers calling they hate Trump, I believe, look, they live in states they'll never turn red. You got a couple guys that call your show to live in one state, they'll never go red. Even if you gave them $1 million, those people, they still vote Democrat, Michael, with their ideology. And you know what? They all want to flee to Florida. But they can turn this place and what they're running away from. We don't need it. We don't want it. We don't need, if they want to change their laws, those guys should be running for office. I'd vote for them. I'll send them money. I'll send them $10 each to start their campaign with a sticker, some flyers, $20, whatever. They should run. You had the one guy, Van Noy in New Jersey, Michael, who finally woke up. He said, I'm not going to be no Democrat. They're trying to tear the state apart. I'm going to become a Republican. That's what these guys that call in your show should be thinking. Hey, I'm going to vote for Trump. Right, Michael?
Right.
I mean, crazy. These guys, the state of Indiana's not going blue anytime soon. I can tell you that. Florida's not going blue anytime soon either. But they're trying because they're bringing all these Northerners down here to swing the vote. Like all these Puerto Ricans, they're coming down here to be from Democrats. These Puerto Ricans, you give them most of those Puerto Ricans $1 million, they're still going to vote for Democrats. Just like the Afro-Americans. They don't want to vote Republicans. They have this thing about slavery. Oh, the white man's oppressor. The white man's the oppressor. No, the white man gave you everything. The white man gave you health care, electricity, air conditioning, cars, automobiles, trains, planes. What more do you want? Food. What do these people want? You know, another thing, Michael, when they start shooting at these tankers and these tank truck drivers don't go in these cities with food, then you're going to really see rioting. It's going to be the other way next time. Okay? You're gonna see the white Anglo majority come out and say enough is enough, because we're not going to allow these thugs to shoot these gas tankers and these food trucks and kill these drivers and not just be able to distribute food and fuel. Are you kidding me? And that's what these Antifa Bolshevik BLMs want to do. They want to disrupt the whole food chain and everything in this country, and it's got to stop and desist right immediately. Trump needs to start giving these people severe penalties. And these governors in these blue states need to be arrested for sanctuary city. I've been saying it for a year. Until Trump really does that and these mayors get arrested, we're looking at anarchy, man, all over this country.
Yes.
And like I said, If that would have been a white soldier who killed that Mexican-American woman on that Fort Hood base, you would never hear the end of it, ever. You would have the Latinas' lives matter come out.
Yes.
Okay? You would have all the Latinos coming out because a white man kills a Mexican female on base. But since he was an Afro-American, nobody's saying a dang word. It's cricket. It's ridiculous. And it's anything Michael also got to say. I know you got our callers. Oh, happy Independence Day to you. Happy 4th of July. God bless this country. We live in the greatest country in Europe. When you don't believe it, go to Cuba for 1 week. I guarantee all these little punks that are doing all this, if you stuck them in Cuba for 1 week, they would come back on their hands and knees and kiss the airport when they landed back in the United States. They would get on their hands and knees and kiss the ground that they walked back on. And that goes for every Venezuelan. I know Venezuelans here in South Florida, they'll tell you the same thing. When they got to the United States, they were kissing the ground they walked on because of what happened to Venezuela. The same, and I've been to Cuba 5 times. If you ever want me to do a show on Cuba, I'll do a show with you, and I'll tell you everything about Cuba. Everything you want to know about that. I really will. I can give you all the information you ever dreamt of hearing about Cuba. What happened to that? It's not a revolution. It's a revolution. The place is in rubble. It's like an atomic bomb blast, I told you. I've been there 5 times. I know all about Cuba. I've been to Tijuana, Mexico. Back in the 80s, you could go over there and get leather goods for cheap. Now you couldn't go over there. You're going to get shot or kidnapped and held for ransom. You try to go to Tijuana now, see if you'll feel safe. Back in the early 80s, man, Tijuana was a great place to go. It was a great tourist place. Now, forget it. Cartels everywhere, no way. Look, and that one guy from San Diego, he needs to go to that fishing pier in Oceanside and calm down and do some real fishing. Because if I lived in San Diego with that great weather, I'd be out on that pier every weekend getting me some fish. Tuna, whatever you can grab. They'd have a great pier out there in Oceanside, longest pier in the United States. You can go out and do some real fishing on that Oceanside pier. You can watch the Navy SEALs train when they jump off and they swim back. Really amazing. Watching all these guys jumping off the pier and swimming back almost a mile back in the Pacific Ocean. Really cool. That's where the Navy SEAL guys train. Really awesome. But, yeah, Michael, I just got to tell you, what's going on with the media, what they're doing to Trump, what they're not saying about this woman getting murdered at Fort Hood. If it was the other way, these media people are definitely Bolshevik, and a lot of them need to be arrested for the treasonous acts they have allowed to happen to our country. What our monuments, our statues, our Bill of Rights are being stompled by these Bolshevik communists.
Tom,
So,
you're
anyway,
starting to repeat yourself, and we've got other callers waiting on the line. So
have a happy Independence Day to you and Claire.
Have a happy Independence Day. We're going to switch to Ray in Indiana. Hello, Ray. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Yeah, Tom's good. I'm following Tom here. Let's see what I can do. I'm really worried about this white Jesus statue crap here. It just, I'm hoping this is where they push it too far, because I see announcers on TV and reporters grouping that all together. They're saying Confederate statues, Washington Monument, Jefferson Monument, white Jesus. They're putting them all in the same group. We've got hundreds of years of legal precedent that the government cannot do anything or say anything about religion. You can worship any color Jesus you want, and that's private property. And they start to, I'm hoping that that's where they break people's back with this whole nonsense. That's the line that they push too far. No guarantee, though, the courts will stand up behind, but there's hundreds of years of legal precedent that the government cannot in any way dictate what a religious statue is or is not. So I'm hoping that that's where it goes in. And then one quick point, though, on Dustin there, and I know everybody's been giving him heck. Keep staying there, Dustin. I love you, man. Hang in. But I thought for sure he said he doubted the death total, too. So if you get a chance, bring it up, find out what his numbers are. I'm thinking it's less than half of what they're saying. And Alex Jones now is having documentation about them exaggerating the count here, counting people that are just contact as possible, and then so I'd like to hear what Dustin's number think. Like I said, I think that number is the actual number is less than half of what they're saying. I'd like to hear what he has to say. But anyway, I'll be watching how the government handles all these statues, because it's pissing a lot of people off, and that I'm one of the ones that I don't like the way it's all being handled. So,
Me neither.
All right, great show. Keep it up. Love you guys. Love everybody there. And happy 4th to the whole United States. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks an awful lot. The part that annoys me is that some group of people, had the respect for an individual in order to put that statue up in the first place, and their feelings and their thoughts and their history are simply being discarded. We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be back with more phone calls after these few words.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Extend your life with Extendovite, a 7-herb combination made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, hawthorn, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Each herb was chosen for their abilities to help improve irregular heartbeats, chest pain, lower cholesterol, as well as normalize blood pressure and clean and strengthen arteries, plus much, much more. Doctors have taken people off of some or all of their pills just because they believe their patients got better while taking Extendovite. Get the dependability of Extendovite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
They're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington too. You know it makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the phones to Don in Arizona. Hello, Don. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Mike, Tom from Florida is pretty wound up today, and that his ginseng, his special ginseng he talked about before. If he would, I already recommended that he run for senator. It'd be 2 for 1 because he'd be a good senator. And also, he could take some of that ginseng and distribute it to those senators down there, see, so they might get some energy then.
Yes, let's hear it for the special ginseng. Our control room calls it a machine gun Tom.
That Tom's okay, but yeah, this thing's just laying. I think it was just a few days ago. They said she was in France.
Yes.
And I don't know what all her path of escape was, and everything. She's been hiding out all the time in New Hampshire. Or what? Anyway,
apparently for at least 8 months.
I'll be damned. I wanted to say something about the reason I think Epstein is still alive. Probably one of the reasons is that book, By Way of Deception, by
Yes.
Ostrovsky.
Yes.
The Mossad guy, the tell-all book about the Mossad. He said there was a time when there was one Israeli guy he was supposed to testify, I think, at the Iran-Contra hearings. Something. I think it was Iran-Contra hearings. He was scheduled to testify, and they faked his death in an airplane crash in Mexico, and went to a good plastic surgeon, and then Mossad is the experts, the foremost experts in fake ID and everything like that. And so that's what, and he said it like, well, that's common knowledge within the Mossad. That's what happened to this guy. So
yes,
this would not be the first time that they did something like that. And with Jeffrey, with all his money paid off, who knows who all he paid off? He might have paid off all the way up to William Barr or whatever. And a little bit of plastic surgery, because it would be just as easy for him. What I've always maintained is instead of faking him suicide and killing him, it would be just as easy to hustle him out of there, or even easier, hustle him out of there and have a fake corpse. And the only guy that actually identified the corpse was
the part that always stuck out for me is when they wheeled him out, his face was uncovered. Normally, when you're transporting somebody who's passed away out of respect, you cover the head. And they didn't, and it looked exactly
like
him out. He didn't look like he was dead.
Still alive.
Yeah.
Right. They wheeled him out of there alive and switched him. And I mean, to me, that's pretty obvious. They paid off some people. It's not like he didn't have any money to pay people off, right? I mean, him and Wexner. And,
well, he's got all those people in the U.S. government he's blackmailing. They probably all got phone calls saying, "You get Jeffrey Epstein out of there, or it's going to be your face on the late night news."
Good plastic surgery job and some fake ID. All he's got to do is just basically keep quiet the rest of his life, and that would be a successful deal like that. And he didn't have that long to live anyway. So
okay, well, Don, we got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back with the Lady Claire.
Talk Right, the conservative app offered by TalkStream Live that caters exclusively to the conservative talk radio community. Here you'll see only talk shows and podcasts from the conservative right, all the big broadcast names and online digital shows in one place. Talk Right makes it easy to find all your favorite conservative talkers with all the upscale features you come to expect from TalkStream Live. Keep up with the fast-paced political world. Download Talk Right today from Google Play or the App Store.
The Republic Broadcasting Network late night premiere show of Red Pill Hardcore is hosted by activists who want to hear from you. The mic is all yours. But you can get involved in the activism. Please call in at 800
Thank you. I want to do a little vignette about this before I start in.
Okay, I'll get to these calls as quick as I can.
Honey, don't worry about it.
5715 or contact RBN staff. Remember, keep it real and take the red pill.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
Welcome back to our show here. And for those of you watching on YouTube, this gorgeous creature sitting next to me is the lovely Lady Claire, who likes to join us on Friday. But we do have a few phone calls we need to clear out first before we turn the mic over to her. So let's go to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Claire. Happy 4th of July, guys.
And back to you.
I'm calling, Mike, because I think everybody knows about my family, and I'm personally philosophically committed to equal protection under the law and equal opportunity under the law, not equal outcome, but equal opportunity and equal protection. And I'm also committed to civil rights for everybody, which would include my wife and my daughter, and
yes,
and my brother and my sister. But when you look at the civil rights, and by the way, I think that Tom was saying it's 65. It's actually 62%, but he was largely right. Of the population that, for instance, Project Veritas just did a Facebook expose where some insider was there talking with an HR director, and I'm a former HR director, and saying that firing a white man is easy. And it is easy. There's no protection under the civil rights law. Like, for instance, if you're protected for either by race, if you're a minority, you're protected by gender, you're protected by age, or multiples of those, right? But none of those really apply to white men, really, except age, and it doesn't really go that well for that. And then she also was quoted as saying that, yeah, it's easy to fire white men. Nobody has their back.
Yeah.
And, no lawyer would take the case. A lawyer would laugh the case out. So we are not allowed, we've been discriminated against over the years now, as the majority, we can't put up our political beliefs or say things that other races can say about us, much worse, frankly. We've given up promotions to lesser qualified, hiring practice to lesser qualified, admissions to universities to lesser qualified people. We don't have any recourse whatsoever. The civil rights law, in a complete inversion of what it ought to be, does not protect the majority. And as they're used against the majority. The majority are being discriminated against, really in a big way. They're doing it in the media. Of course, the legislatures owned by the same people that have always owned them have arranged it that way for years. But how in the world does that come to be, where the majority they can say anything they want about us? They can attack us physically. They can burn down our businesses and physically attack us. And there seems to be nothing we can do, including the loss of our heritage and our history. And how in the world, please ask yourself, folks, how this came about. And I'm not asking for superiority. I'm asking for everybody the way the promise of this country was supposed to be. Equal protection under the law, equal opportunity under the law, not equal outcome.
Yeah.
So we're so far away from that. It's incredible, and it's like through the looking glass. We are being programmed by the minority.
Yes.
By minorities, directed by a minority of 1.7%. So it's I don't know. What do you think about that, Mike?
I think there's something definitely going on, and that if we're not careful, we're going to wind up like Zimbabwe and South Africa. And I don't want to see that happen to this country.
I wouldn't want to see that to happen to anybody in this country. Minorities, black people, white people, Hispanic people. I think that was a great point that Tom made about, I was unaware, and I follow this stuff, about that foothood soldier. I knew she
Yeah.
was murdered. Aaron David Robinson was the name of the guy.
Yes.
But I don't remember seeing a picture. And he's right. Of course, you can do any atrocity you want. And if it's a black male, they barely make the news, if they make it at all. So
yeah,
we have to stand up for that, Mike. And it starts with, frankly, it starts with the people, the bankers, the people that own the media that have gotten us there. They also own the government. So they own everything. But anyways, listen, that's it for me. I know you got other calls. Happy 4th of July to everybody. And think about what it means, this 4th of July. Maybe the last one.
definitely you want to read the Declaration of Independence, because that's what this is really all about. All right, we're going to let you go there and switch over to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Good afternoon, Michael. You took it right out of my mouth, the words right out of my mouth. We didn't fight a war for the 4th of July. We fought a war for Independence Day.
Yeah.
You know, Trump kept telling Jeb Bush, it was like so hysterical during the debates. Trump would tell him how, Jeb's a low energy guy and everything, and now we know why. Because Tom stole the ginseng.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I don't know what's in these guys' heads, Michael. You know, you look at Trump, and it's like it's like a football game, you know. He got the kickoff, he got over the 50, he ran it down to the 20.
Yep.
He got a bunch of penalties in his way, but he still got it down to the 20. You know, and everybody else, but he didn't score. But nobody else we ever had crossed the 50-yard line. So, but we're gonna go after Trump and complain. I'm not gonna vote. I don't like him. I mean, what a bunch of babies. Trump is doing sensational, and I'm not a huge time Trump guy. I mean, I'll tell you when he's wrong. But I mean, with what he has to endure and go through, and where are these people that said none of these indictments were happening? Well, they're happening. Well, Maxwell's in jail now.
Yep.
They've showed that manufacturing is coming back, and we still don't know. You know, wouldn't it be something at the end of this year when that GATT and NAFTA is done and Trump's new plan? Wouldn't it be something if that was the thing that saved the whole economy from this coronavirus disaster? The deal that Trump made on that, wouldn't that be something?
That would.
Let's look at some of the other stuff. The appointments Trump's made to these federal courts, and I'm not talking about the Supreme Court because somehow that always seems to be a kooky experience. But he's filled these positions, and he's done a marvelous job in doing that. You know, if anything's going to keep this next leftist onslaught on, and all these prosecutors and stuff that Soros is buying, it's going to be maybe in the court of one of those judges. And here's the other thing: with Trump just recently, did you hear he's going after the people? He's freezing the assets or somehow going after the people that are donating the money through these Soros foundations and these various foundations. And did you hear that some of the Antifa people, well, guess what? They're going to be going to court, and inevitably they're going to be going to jail because they took their time. They found their locations. They did their background investigations, and they've come up with videos and testimonies and recordings. And these people now are going to be in trouble.
Well, good.
Exactly. So, I'm tired of hearing these people whine about Trump and we need this. I mean, if we didn't have Trump, can you imagine? And any of these Democrats, though, any of them, or any of these other, who's the Republican you would want to vote for ahead of Trump? Because I'll tell you, none of them have accomplished. Ronald Reagan didn't accomplish as much as Trump. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. These people whine, and these absolute nutcases about we need a third party. They can't even get on in every state. That's who we're going to send up here to fight with. Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's like a fantasy land. So I'm just so tired of it. And Tom he's right on again, as Peter said, as Peter mentioned. Tom laid it down perfect. These people have no idea what real communism or anything is about. But to get on Trump all the time continuously, and you never hear them say nothing about it. Dustin's one of them. He's always on, although he only voted for one Republican in his life, and it happened to be Trump. I never hear Dustin get on here and complain about all these other people he voted for and all these other Democrats. And same with Paul. Paul is a more smoother moving socialist, but still one and the same. And Paul both of them make some great contributions. But I don't understand their overall philosophy. And like most of these, I don't understand most of these people that come out here and bang on Trump. No, Trump's not going to do everything for you down to the letter. But there is nobody could even stand up to this. Ron Paul was a great guy. Ron Paul didn't have the money. Ron Paul didn't have the following. Trump has somehow, through some facet, been able to cobble into this and be staunch opposition to this while he succumbs to giving way from time to time. But like he said the other day, a couple days back, he said, I think Kirshner's giving me some bad advice, and I'm telling him and Ivanka to leave. When we're going to see the real Trump is going to be this next term. That's when we're going to see the real Trump when we get a Republican Congress, because now all these people that were anti-Trumpers, that's not what you're getting now. Now you're getting all these people running for Congress saying, the first thing I see on all these ads across the country that I've looked at, we support Trump. I support Trump. But you never heard of them supporting Trump before. But now, boy, they're all on the Trump bandwagon.
Oh, they want to ride his coattails something fierce.
Isn't it amazing? So anyway, Michael, I hope you have a fantastic Independence Day with Lady Claire there. I hope Tom has a great one, Sebastian and all these people. And, we've got a lot to look forward to. And I'd rather look forward than look backwards or look down. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I hope everybody has a fantastic Independence Day and we reconcile ourselves with what this nation really is meant to be and supposed to be. And Michael, have another great show. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to take one more phone call before the Lady Claire grabs the microphone, and that's Bob in Colorado. Bob, what's on your mind today?
Michael, happy Independence Day, not
Happy
July
Independence
4th.
Day.
That is correct. And I just want to say a couple things, and I'll hang up and listen off air. I know that a lot of people don't like Alex Jones, but one thing I will say is the other day he had on Bishop Larry Gaithers, and you guys should really try to contact him.
Okay.
And it's called The Coming of the Destruction of Black Lives Matter.
Good.
And he actually goes over the history of how the blacks were sold by their own people
Yes.
to America. And I'll tell you what, it is riveting. And I would hope somebody would look up Bishop Larry Gaithers and really listen to what he had. It's riveting. I mean, you know what? Tears were coming down my eyes, Michael. We have had such a beautiful country. There's been problems. But you know what? Up until 4 months ago, everybody was minding their own business until we got this phony freaking coronavirus.
Yes.
And that's also another thing that's put out there by all these doctors that are being shut down. There is no actual test that can tell you if you've actually got this super bug because there is no test. So now everybody that gets tested, and I'm worried about it because I'm going to a freaking hospital Monday, and they said, make sure you wear a mask. We're going to take your temperature. Well, it's 100 freaking degrees here in Denver. So if I walk in, what are you going to do? Put ice on my head before they take my temperature? And also, Frank Allen had a really good show the other day and had a guy on, I can't remember his name, and he was talking about the ADA requirements and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That, if you look up on the ADA, they can't ask you about your symptoms if you tell them that you have a problem breathing. And it goes against the ADA and HIPAA. And I thought that was like, what a wonderful show with Frank Allen, I'll tell you. And the only other thing I wanted to say was, I understand, if I heard it correctly today, the mayor of St. Louis is going to charge those two white people for trying to defend a historical site. And I'll
Yes.
listen to what you have to say afterwards. Thank you, Mike, and happy Independence Day, my brother.
Happy Independence Day. Well, I think it is absurd to prosecute people who are protecting their own property or public property against a mob. And we're seeing it, with that couple that defended their own home with an AR-15 and a pistol. They're now facing, I think it's felony brandishment charges. And that's the whole point of the Second Amendment, is that we have a right to defend ourselves against the government and, when necessary, each other. And it's really absurd. Anyway, the phone lines are closed until the bottom of the hour, and we're going to turn the mic over to the Lady Claire.
Thank you. Good to be here. I noticed today in Zero Hedge, getting back to Ghislaine Maxwell, a very interesting and telling image.
Yes.
And that image was at Chelsea Clinton's wedding when her dad was walking her up the aisle.
Yes.
Who should be in the audience? But wait for it, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yes.
I would like to hope that the Clintons, quote unquote, because they needed killing, isn't going to affect her, and that she is able to rise to her own defense and name names. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm hoping that too, but
Yeah.
it's more than just the Clintons who are afraid of her.
Yeah.
You've got the royal family,
Yes.
Alan Dershowitz,
Yeah.
and all of the other unknown names.
Yes.
That, I mean, there are a lot of people who are hoping that Ghislaine does not wake up tomorrow morning.
Oh, I, as you said, I don't know what the Vegas odds are on
Yes.
that, but probably not brilliant.
We'll give you $1 to go away.
Yeah, right. Hello. Getting back to some things that I found kind of disturbing this week. There has been a scholar who was forced to resign over a study that found police shootings were not biased against blacks. And, excuse me, this comes to me from the collegefix.com. And apparently, Michigan State University leadership has successfully pressured Stephen Sue to resign from his position as VP of Research and Innovation after the Graduate Employee Union launched a campaign to get him out of there. This came after the union, which ironically represents teaching and research assistants, crawled through years of blog posts and interviewed Sue on things he had done, and they were criticizing him on sharing content about genetic differences from different races. And apparently, Sue managed to prove his points. But the main thing was that he found this Michigan State research that indicated that police were not more likely to shoot African Americans.
A lot more white people
Holy
have been shot by the
crumb.
police.
Yeah, and he made this observation: the victory of the Twitter mob will likely have a chilling effect on academic freedom on campus, he told the College Fix via email. So it looks like cancel culture has struck again, Michael.
Yes.
I really, and check me if I'm wrong here, but science doesn't have an agenda. It's looking for reproducible data which shows you
Yes.
something.
Yes.
And if the reproducible data does not show you this is happening, the only logical thing you can think, no matter what the politically elite are saying, this isn't happening. It's one point of view that does not appear to be backed up by facts, and that worries me.
Well, that's hardly the first case. I mean, science has become very politicized.
Yeah.
In the good old days,
Yeah.
the rulers would go to the religious leaders and say, we need to sell the population on this idea, X, Y, Z. Well, now it's scientists who are co-opted by using that. We got to
Amen.
take a break for commercials. We will be right back.
Did you know that you can be tracked and traced when you're online? With identity theft and cybercrimes on the rise, your passwords, your identity, and even your physical location can be revealed to complete strangers. Would you like to surf the internet anonymously and not have to worry about these threats? Well, now you can by visiting patriotinternet.com. For about $2 per month, patriotinternet.com will conceal your IP address and your physical location, allowing you to browse the web, send emails, and instant message anonymously. patriotinternet.com will bypass filters, block sites, and keyword blocking. You can also bypass logging by your router and your ISP. With patriotinternet.com, there is no software to install and uses 128-bit encryption for your protection. When using wireless hotspots, patriotinternet.com shields your information from identity thieves and is compatible with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Protect your identity and your freedom with anonymous internet access from patriotinternet.com. Visit patriotinternet.com today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
Welcome back to our show here, and we're going to go back to the lovely Lady Claire, and your story is?
Well, this again is very disturbing to me. Again, found Zero Hedge, which is generally a very respectable blog. I like the way these people think. And the article that they were reporting today was before the takedown of General Flynn, he was planning to audit John Brennan for running billions off the books of the intelligence community. And this is by Polizette, which is, again, another blog that does a lot of good stuff. And apparently, Sidney Powell, who was the attorney for retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, said her client, in his duties as White House National Advisor, was prepared to audit the U.S. intelligence community.
Ooh, they're going to find all that cocaine money.
Oh my gosh. That, according to the former federal prosecutor, is partly why federal agents set Flynn up. Powell, who took over Flynn's defense last summer, told the Vicki McKenna show on 1310 WIBA Madison that her client was totally set up because he threatened to expose wrongdoing by top intelligence officials in the Obama administration. Holy crud, Michael.
Yes.
I mean, Intelligence is one of the places where you want no politicization. What's so flipping
but it's
ever?
entirely the opposite.
Oh,
the
man.
intelligence agencies think they're really running the country.
Yeah.
J. Edgar Hoover did.
Yeah, yeah. And we have a very interesting Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court has denied Congress access to secret Mueller grand jury testimony and likely won't decide on the case until after the election. Now, they said this yesterday. They are effectively denying Congress access to the grand jury materials from former special counsel Robert Mueller's report on election interference and obstruction of justice, at least before the upcoming election. I have got to wonder what the darned heck is in there. Okay.
Probably nothing.
Okay.
And that, of course, would work against the Democrats in the November election here.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. This comes to us from Sputnik News. Their S-500 will soon be capable of destroying hypersonic weapons in space, Russian aerospace forces
That's
say.
going to be a trick.
The S-500 Prometheus is a cutting-edge surface-to-air defense missile with a range of 400 to 600 kilometers. Head engineer Pavel Sozanov announced earlier that it would be capable of intercepting targets several hundred kilometers above the Earth. And what does the U.S. and U.S. military have to counter this?
Well, probably nothing at the moment here. We're years behind China and Russia in the development of hypersonic weapons. Probably they're developing this to counter, our crude efforts.
Yeah, and it makes me sick. We happen to have a family member in the military, and she deals with contractors all the time. And by supporting candidates on both sides of the aisle, these people think that they are ensuring, especially the heads of the companies are thinking this way, that it's okay to deliver project or product untested, archaic before it's delivered, and heavily over budgeted, like Lockheed's Martin 35 fighter jets, which have had problems reclassified.
Rather than fixed.
It's
a big problem. We can't fix it. Okay, it's a little problem.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that this is allowed. And I frankly wish that there was some kind of a law written that no defense contractor can give a penny to anyone who is running for public office at the national level. Because what it does is it stultifies our weapons development.
Yes, it
we
does.
can't come up, we can't come up with anything good because these people have the ears of the very powerful people in Congress, presidents, vice
And
presidents.
the contracts and subcontracts are all politicized.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is. And this sounds more draconian than most people who know me would think I would want to do. But I think that when the contracts are signed, there should be documented that if it's delivered late, if it's delivered with flaws, if it's not delivered on time, that the principals of those companies can actually wind up serving some jail time.
I would like to see it, or at least just don't pay them the money.
Yeah,
that's the big problem. The defense contractors, they're producing inferior weapons. They're late. They need fixing, and yet the money still pours into their coffers.
Yeah,
it's really
unfortunately until that social area of the weapons defense business gets fixed. This is going to continue to happen, and we're going to be behind the 8 ball forever. I don't want to see that happen. Now, apparently, Mongolia has quarantined the Russian border region over bubonic plague suspicion.
Wow.
It has quarantined its western region near the border with Russia for identifying 2 suspected cases of the black marmot plague. Marmots are a form of rodent.
Okay, we have to take a break.
Okay.
So we're going to do some commercials, then we'll come back to the marmots.
Yes.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. John Hess, 5 out of 5 stars. Awesome. Probably my only review, but at age 40, I was getting bad heartthrob and left arm pain, mainly before bed. I even stopped smoking and drinking sodas for a month, and that didn't work. After 1 day of taking Extendovite, it was gone and hasn't returned in 3 years. I've ordered Extendovite 13 times, so Amazon just said. Juliet Hordick. I've ordered this product before in liquid form. It is fantastic. My whole family's been on it. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go back to the Lady Claire. And Lady Claire, what's your next story?
This is, again, very, very concerning. Apparently in Iraq, rising virus cases and oxygen shortages are stoking outrage and fears of chaos. And so what people have done, because the medical system was so brilliantly broken, courtesy of the U.S. occupation, they're storming oxygen cylinder factories, and relatives of patients are seizing oxygen canisters in the hospital. And one Iraqi official is saying, this is a war against the coronavirus, and we've lost the war. Now, the guy asked not to be identified because he wasn't authorized to speak publicly. But he tells NPR that the true number of cases is believed to be many times higher than reported figures of more than 1,900 deaths and more than 49,100 infections. And he appealed for international help and said that hospitals in the southern city of Nasiriyah and the port city of Basra can't accept new patients. Mike, this is awful.
Yes.
We really need to figure out who is going to be allowed to help You know who I bet who probably would not be allowed to would be Iran.
Yes.
Iran is dealing with its own situation, but if it could, I'm sure that it would help their Iraqi brothers and sisters, but they're not allowed to with the current U.S. regime.
Okay.
And cancel culture just got really silly here in the next article I'm going to share with all of you.
Okay.
Apparently, ABC News has just declared that going to national parks is racist. And we're just getting started. Apparently, everything that people who come from a European heritage like me enjoy is racist because they're European. Even going to national parks is racist now because most of the people who go to national parks are of European origin.
Well, that's because most of the people living in this country are of European origin.
As millions of Americans escape home quarantine to the great outdoors this summer, they'll venture into park campgrounds and forest lands that remain stubborn bastions of self-segregation. Did you get all that? It's racist to go to national parks even though you're not keeping anyone else from going there. It's self-segregation even though the parks are completely open to anyone who wants to go.
It's ridiculous.
And if you're a European person, it's your fault. The people of colors don't want to go to the parks, especially if you've never done anything to hurt anyone. None of the Black people interviewed by ABC News can point to any specific incident of racism, which is what's so nefarious about people.
Well, see, the
who
fact
look
that we're
like
not
me.
behaving like racists proves we're racist, is what they're saying.
Oh, there is nothing more racist than not being racist. The message is clear. Mother Nature is a white supremacist. What in the...
Well, you don't want to go
ABC?
against nature.
ABC News. I can't believe it. I'm amazed. Now, over in Turkey, the Turkish president has called for tighter social media controls. President Erdogan said Wednesday that he would tighten controls on social media, and he said that after remarks were made on Twitter about his daughter and son-in-law. Turkey is not a banana republic, Erdogan said in a televised address to his party members. We will snub those who snub the country's executive and judicial bodies. Apparently, Erdogan's eldest daughter, Esra Erdogan, and his son-in-law, Finance Minister Berat Albayrak, reportedly received what were called insulting tweets after the couple announced the birth of their fourth kid on social media. And apparently, 11 of the 19 Twitter users who allegedly insulted Erdogan's family were detained. Sorry, but people in Erdogan's Turkey have to understand that this was going to be the outcome if his regime found tweets unflattering in any way.
Unfortunately, it sets a dangerous precedent for right here in the United States.
And he's moved his government toward a right-flavored theocracy, and Turkish Christians are being persecuted like crazy. I mean, we here in this country take it for granted that we can worship as we want or not worship. But in other countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia, being a Christian can be really hazardous to your health,
Mm-hmm.
And also, Turkey's Erdogan has been accused of trying to create a new militia after parliament has voted to arm watchmen. Turkey's parliament has passed a controversial law that would grant auxiliary police the authority to carry weapons and search subjects, in what critics fear could lead to the formation of a pro-government militia. Opposition lawmakers are accusing the government of seeking to create a parallel law enforcement branch, potentially backed with loyalists. The force, called Bekçi, or watchmen, have been used by Turkey to buttress police forces for decades, but it was disbanded and folded into the police force in 2008 before being resurrected in 2016. Like, what's going on with this guy? Is he really trying to establish another caliphate?
A lot of people think that he's trying to do that, and he wants to bring back the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah. And Turkey's first lady was caught by BBC praising the function of the Ottoman harem for women. And she described...
The harems were not for the women.
Yes, I know. The harem of the Ottoman Empire as educational establishments that prepared women for life Would someone, some aid to this lady, please get her iPhone and check what century we are in? Last time I checked on my iPhone, it's 2020. We are not back in the day. And she was apparently speaking at an official event on Ottoman sultans in Ankara. And her comments came a day after President Erdogan said a woman is above all a mother in a speech to mark International Women's Day. And apparently, the way this worked, family members, servants, concubines, and all lived in the imperial harem. The sultans who ruled the Ottoman Empire had a harem at Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, which has been a museum since 1924. And all female members of the family lived there. And male staffs was eunuchs. Okay, I'm sorry. But seriously, if I heard that as a Turkish woman, I'd start going to Babel and learn another language and start voting with my feet.
Yes,
Seriously.
if possible.
Yeah, and it may not be possible. Well, Mrs. Erdogan, I have to tell you something. The good old days were terrible for women in your country. I mean, come on. Let's get serious here. Another good piece of news, and the headline reads, Vindicated, Trump touted COVID-19 drug hydroxychloroquine works, a new study found. And this comes from Epoch Times, Zachary Steiber. And the anti-malarial drug
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yes, I will say that 3 times quickly. Lowers the death rate of COVID-19 patients, U.S. researchers have found. And they conducted a retrospective analysis of over 2,500 patients who were hospitalized between March 10th and May 2nd at the Henry Ford Health System in Michigan. Over 2,000 of the patients were given the hydroxychloroquine or the anti-malarial with azithromycin and antibiotic. Now, 13% of those who received hydroxychloroquine alone died, compared to 26.4% who didn't receive the drug. Hydroxychloroquine alone decreased the mortality hazard ratio by 66%, and the anti-malarial with the antibiotic increased the ratio by 71%. And the vast majority of patients were given the drugs within 48 hours of admission. Mike, that looks to me to be very scientifically significant.
It is, but you've
Wow.
got these arguments going on about, does this drug work? Does this drug not work? Simply because you've got all these competing companies who want to sell a medication or a vaccine, and so they're going to be out there trying to attack these other solutions and saying, no, that doesn't work. It's dangerous. It's bad for your heart. You want to buy our new and improved whatever it is they're selling this week.
Yeah. Kind of a worrisome thing going on with the Ukraine. Apparently, the Ukraine central bank chief cites systematic political pressure in shock protest resignation. And apparently, Ukraine's business community and investors are reeling, not to mention a presidential office eager to present itself as driving a long-time cleanup of the corrupt banking sector over Wednesday's shock resignation of Ukraine's highly respected central banker, Yakiv Smoly. His tenure was supposed to go until 2025, but President Zelensky accepted the resignation yesterday. The timing is a little bit funky. I think that's a reasonable word. Yeah.
Good word.
And he announced that he resigned due to systemic political pressure, which many believe came directly from Zelensky and his lawmakers, but oligarchs said to be close to the young reformer president. It was only last month that Kiev secured a crucial $5 billion 18-month loan to weather the economic slump to the COVID-19 crisis, $2.9 billion of which has already been distributed. And Mike, no matter the reason, the timing here bites like crazy.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and open the phone lines here. There you are.
Alrighty. And there is a gentleman who posts at various places. His name is Pepe Escobar. When you see his name, please read what he's saying. This is sort of a hidden history article called Barbarism Begins at Home. And it originally was featured via the Asia Times. The Caesar Civilian Protection Act moves Russia, China, Iran closer to the axis of resistance, Syria, Iraq, and Hezbollah. And the Greeks invaded the barbarian concept after the Persian invasions by Darius I and Xerxes in 490 and 479 BC. And they had to separate themselves from the non-Greek. And Aeschylus staged the Persians in 472 BC. That was the turning point. After that, barbarian was everyone who wasn't Greek. Persians, Phoenicians, Phrygians, Thracians, etc. But adding to the scheme, all of these barbarians were monarchists. Athens, a new democracy, considered that to be the equal of slavery. Athens extolled freedom, which ideally developed reason, self-control, generosity. In contrast, the barbarians and slaves were childish, effeminate, irrational, undisciplined, cruel, cowardly, selfish, greedy, luxurious, and pusillanimous. I'm sorry. But from all the above, there are two conclusions. Barbarism and slavery was a natural match. Greeks thought it was morally uplifting to help friends and repel enemies. And in the later case, Greeks had to enslave them. Greeks should, by definition, rule barbarians. Well, apparently history has shown that this worldview not only migrated to Rome, but afterwards via Christianity post-Constantine to the superior West, and finally to the West's supposed end of history, Imperial America. Rome, as usual, was pragmatic. Barbarian was adapted to qualify anything and anyone that was not Roman. How not to relish the historical irony. For the Greeks, the Romans were also technically barbarians.
We're all barbarians.
Yeah, Rome focused on behavior rather than race. If you were truly civilized, you would not be mired in the savagery of nature or found dwelling on the outskirts of the world like the Vandals, Visigoths, etc. You would live right in the center of the matrix. So everyone who lived outside Rome's power and crucially resisted Rome's power was a barbarian. A collection of traits would establish the difference: race, tribe, language, culture, religion, law, psychology, moral values, clothing, skin color, patterns of behavior. The end of secularized religion. Barbarism begins at home. Now, the great writer Alistair Cook has shown how in many extremely polarized U.S., both parties are essentially accusing each other of barbarism. These people lie and would stoop to any illegitimate seditionist, i.e. unconstitutional means to obtain their illegitimate ends. Adding to this complexity, this clash of barbarians opposes an old conservative guard to a woke generations in many aspects, aping a Mao cultural revolution mindset. Mike, what do you have to say to that?
Well, it's obviously a very, very, very complicated issue. And unfortunately, I think to some degree, every ethnic group tends to look at everybody else around them as a barbarian. And as far as a Mao cultural revolution, that does seem to be a big part of what's going on now. Because if you look at what happened under Mao Zedong, they tore down the statues, they tore down the murals, and they basically erased the history in order to rewrite it in conformance with the needs of the state. Shades of George Orwell.
Yes, yes. I saw a T-shirt the other day that said, "Make Orwell fiction again."
Yes, I like that one. I like that one.
Yeah, I want that T-shirt, sweetheart.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. And we've had expressions from the current administration. James Jeffrey, who is the U.S. envoy to Syria, has rejoiced on the record that sanctions against the regime have contributed to the collapse of what is essentially Syrian livelihood. Rome on the Potomac sees the axis of resistance as barbarian. For one hegemonic U.S. faction, they are barbarous because they dare to reject the alleged superior moral American civilization claim.
Yes.
And for another, no less hegemonic factor, they are so outright barbarian that only regime change would redeem them. And a great deal of enlightened Europe happens to support this interpretation, slightly sweetened by the humanitarian imperialism overtones. It's Iraq all over again.
Yes, it is.
In 2003, The beacon of civilization launched shock and awe on a barbarian Iraq, a criminal operation based on entirely falsified intel, very much like the recent chapter of Never Ending Russiagate, where we see maligned Ruskies playing the role of paymasters to Taliban with the intent of killing the occupying U.S. soldiers. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, it does seem that a lot of U.S. military actions over the years have been prompted not just by commercial interest, but by this idea of manifest destiny.
Oh, yeah.
Where it is our role to bring modern democracy to these other countries. And indeed, that's always a selling point when the politicians get up there and say, we're invading this country, we're going to bring them democracy. Of course, we never really do. No, they get puppet regimes and rigged elections.
Yep.
Okay, we got to take a break for our last commercial break. We'll be back to the last segment of our program after these two words.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719, extension 3. 800-724-2719, extension 3.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Extendovite really works. Here are some reviews from Amazon.com. Nikki, great product. Have to try it for a few months to see results. After taking Extendovite for about 6 months, I have noticed improvement on the numbness of my hands and wrists from carpal tunnel. I will continue to buy the product. Ken Peaks, 5 out of 5 stars. Works as advertised. This formula is very powerful. Be careful to follow directions. I am feeling much better. My heart rate and blood pressure has stabilized and my lower edema has reduced. Lower leg pain due to blood clots has disappeared. Thank you. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company? And it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks.
When pigs fly!
The new EaseOff Model EZ4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The EaseOff lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the EaseOff? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my EaseOff?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry because we are offering $200 off on the new EZ4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows too. EaseOff LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
Some have maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show. Last segment on this Powhana Friday and day before Independence Day. And Claire, you have another story for us.
Yes. again, this is Mike and I used to live right outside of Seattle, Washington, off
Yes.
the I-90, in a little bedroom community called North Bend, Washington.
Where they filmed Twin Peaks.
Yes. Amazing, sweet people, wonderful. But apparently, the left-wing chop zone is responsible for let me slow down for this number, a 525% spike in Seattle crime. That's intense. Now, this comes to us from Paul Joseph Watson via the Summit News. And after characterizing the infamous chop area of downtown Seattle as a summer of love, Mayor Jenny Durkin was eventually forced to acknowledge that the failed communist experiment was responsible for a whopping 525% spike in crime.
Did you notice how her attitude toward CHOP changed as soon as they were protesting outside her home?
I thought that was a very interesting moment of truth for them.
You know, and there's a little microcosm here because,
Yeah.
you know, obviously the left wing was in charge of the CHOP zone.
Mhm.
Imagine if the left wing is in charge of the entire country
Mhm.
and crime all over the country goes up 525%.
Yep.
Just something to think
Yeah.
about, you know.
And Mayor Durkin has no one but herself to blame for legitimizing the mayhem which was CHOP. And you know something, Mike? If she had any moral integrity, this woman would resign faster than a speeding bullet
Well, if she had moral integrity, she wouldn't have run for office in
Yeah.
the first place.
and have a special mayoral election held by the citizens of Seattle. And I used to remember that Seattle was a really, really lovely, lovely place when we lived close by. And I'd love to go up and visit and go to some of the shops, and they were really
Yes.
lovely in downtown Seattle. And the last thing I have to share is Gerald Celente is making this observation. Now, he's a trends researcher and futurist. And what he is saying is that if we don't restore freedom, America is dead. Now, this comes to us via Greg Hunter's USAWatchdog.com. Celente is a publisher of the Trends Journal, and he declared back in March that the greatest depression has already started. Now he says politicians who are power tripping imbeciles and freaks out of their mind closed down the economy for political gain in an attempt to stop President Trump from winning a second term in November. They destroyed the economy, Celente says. The economy is dead. These little liberals, I am surrounded by them here, Cuomo-loving liberals when it started, and they all said it would come back. It's not coming back, and the politicians killed it. Mike, your thoughts?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The one thing that Trump had to run on in November was a good economy,
Mhm.
and they had to find some way to bring it down.
Mhm.
And you know they can blame it on the COVID-19 and then say, well, Trump didn't react to COVID-19, he didn't handle it properly, and just attack him continuously. Okay, there's our music. It's time for us to get on out of here. Stay tuned for John Stedmuller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please, this weekend, if you are living in a place with fireworks, safe and sane, have a fire extinguisher, pail of sand nearby, just safety above all. I don't want you coming back here Monday missing a finger. So have a good weekend. Aloha, America.